Hi, everyone. My name is Artad Gregg, and I'm proud to be the director of the North Pittsburgh Symphonic Band. And this is another one of our concert talks as we prepare for our concert on March the 9th at 3 p.m. in the North Hills Middle School Auditorium. It's a wide array of musics focused a little bit on dance. The title of the concert is Dancing in Air, one of the works that we will be performing. But we open with something that is very standard. We close with something that is an orchestral transcription, and we put something in the middle there that's kind of a new and enjoyable, engaging piece of music. We open up the concert, of course, with a piece by Alfred Reed. Alfred Reed, a composer of over 200 pieces of music in his time. And this is one that doesn't have as much acclaim, hasn't been played as much, and I thought it would be great to get it out there. It is entitled his Fourth Suite, and his Fourth Suite was written about 1992, and it is three movements, three fairly short movements, each demonstrative of the different part of his compositional style. The first movement, the Entrada, very stately, very fanfarish, lots of brass, contrasted by the second movement, which is a beautiful aria. And the aria really exemplifies Reed's use of instrumentation and structure and color. He had a sound that was very unique to him in terms of how he used the instruments, how he combined voices to make this beautiful Alfred Reed sound. And it closes with a march, which is in the form of a rondo, but it just flies around. It was very technically challenging and a lot of fun. And I hope that you like this piece by Alfred Reed, his Fourth Suite for band. Following that, we're going to get into a few dance-like pieces. They're not all dances, but they're all rhythmic and metric and have dance-like qualities. The piece for which the concert is named, Dancing in Air, written by a Japanese composer, Yo Goto. Beautiful piece. Yo Goto is probably one of the top Japanese wind band composers. He's very active as an adjudicator and a judge, along as being a composer in Japan. And it brings a new style of music, a new take on music that we don't often hear in the States from our composers over here, because they infuse some of the traditions of the Japanese culture. And what makes it interesting, the title Dancing in Air, it's in a 10/8 kind of a groove that just floats along. Very beautiful, allows us to feature some of our wonderful soloists in the piece. And again, brings a new flavor to the wind band realm with the North Pittsburgh Symphonic Band. So I hope that you like this work, Dancing in Air by Yo Goto. The next place we're going to go, they're not specifically dances, but they are dance-like. I wanted to compare and contrast a couple of composers. The first of which is Percy Grainger. If you're in the band realm, or even not, even in the orchestral realm a little bit, Percy Grainger, prolific figure throughout the early 20th century. And his pinnacle work, Lincolnshire Posy, premiered in 1940, a collection of folk songs that he had actually gathered in the early 1900s between 1905 and 1906. And he put them all together, and what made Grainger's music so unique in terms of his folk music is he presented his music from the mind of the folk singer. He didn't take a folk song and fit it into the band instrumentation and the band metrics and things like that. He made the band meters and voices fit the way he heard the folk song artists sing these pieces of music. And so it brought, at the time, a very unique approach to meter in music. And we are just going to be doing the final movement, the sixth movement, which is Lost Lady Found, a wonderful lilting work in a 3 meter. So again, very dance-like. It's a strophic form, so verses. So we repeat that same verse over and over. It tells a story. But what makes it very interesting is every time we come back to this verse, there's something new about it. Whether it's a new rhythm, additive synthesis by adding more instrumentation or different instrumentation, different articulations, all kinds of different things that make each of those verses unique. And I think that was one of the things about his style that I liked a great deal. Secondarily, his use of counter melody, harmonic parts. When you focus on working with Percy Grainger's music, it was a little bit about the melody and a ton about the things that he did around the melody to embellish it or enhance it. We're going to compare that to, in my opinion, a modern version of the Grainger sound, which is David Stanhope. They share a little common history, Grainger being born in Australia, then moving to England, United States, but very focused on folk music and the folk song sounds of the English, British Isles, and so forth. David Stanhope, born in England, moved to Australia, and took on, in my opinion, a very similar style to Grainger, especially in writing of his folk music. His folk song sets 1, 2, and 3, if you listen to them and listen to Grainger, you'll hear a lot of very similar instrumentations. You'll hear a lot of very similar approaches to, as I mentioned in the last movement of the Lincolnshire Posy, of enhancing a melody. But to keep the program diverse, I chose one of his marches. And the march is called The Little Ripper. And I became aware of this, 20 years ago. It was written in 1988 for another purpose, a bicentennial celebration. But what I think it brings to the fore is a lot of interesting groupings of instruments, a tongue-in-cheek approach to a march, which features the low reeds a lot. It's a lot of fun, but there are similarities in the sounds and the uses of instruments, in my opinion, to Grainger. The folk songs that they did are, in my opinion, very similar. But this little march provides, again, some diversity to the program. It gives us a wonderful march, but it lets us hear a composer that's probably not as well known, David Stanhope, who has written some just gorgeous music in his career. So the Little Ripper March, it gets its name from, I guess, in the soccer realm, or football, as they call it, the European football, is if somebody is just very talented or very skilled, they're called a Little Ripper. And it just kind of makes you smile to say it, but to play it is even more fun. So everything from a mallet quartet in the middle to featuring the low sounds a little bit. In the second half of our program, we're going to open with something that was just written in 2021 by James David called Urban Light. And I became aware of this just a few years ago when it was premiered. And it's very cool. It gets its name from an artistic setting out in Los Angeles, these beautiful lights that are all in an array. And what it brings to us is kind of a modern set of sounds used by the wind ensemble. One of the interesting parts of it is it uses a distorted guitar, so very much like a heavy metal guitar, not as a solo instrument, but as an enhancement. So another color in the color palette of the wind ensemble that I think is really cool. Very rhythmic. There's some rhythmic reflections to kind of a Morse code-ish California as its designated state that I think is just wonderful. It's engaging, technically very challenging, and a lot of fun to play. So Urban Light will open the second half. We get back into our dance array a little bit, and we do a piece that was written by Jack Stamp called Band Dancing. And Jack, in this, it's multiple movements, all different dances, but with Jack's tried and true, interesting compositional style. So the metrics in it are very challenging. The melodies and styles give us the dance-like movement, but Jack Stamp even admitted in his own little bit where he talked about it, about using his style and conforming these dance types into that. So I hope that you like Band Dancing. There's a city shuffle, there's a waltz, There's a slow dance, so a ballad, and last dance, which are all unique, all very short, but they tell a very interesting dance story. We conclude our concert with a transcription of the finale from Tchaikovsky's Second Symphony, the Little Russian, subtitled. I think this was very nicely done. It was reset by Frank Erickson. Frank Erickson is a very prominent name in the band realm, and it provides a wonderful challenge to the instrumentalists. It allows us to share in some classical music making, so some orchestral transcription, music making, a very powerful way to end the concert. And I think that the musicians in the North Pittsburgh Symphonic Band are doing a great job with this. So tie them all together. We've got Dancing in Air, a lot of dance style pieces punctuated by some very interesting and unique older transcription and newer urban light works that we really hope you'll enjoy. Our last concert in December, it was an amazing crowd, and I hope that you'll have us all back and come and enjoy the music with the North Pittsburgh Symphonic Band on Sunday, March the 9th at 3 p.m. in the North Hills Middle School Auditorium. We hope to see you there. Thanks so much for your support, and thank you for coming out and enjoying the music of your friends and neighbors who make up this wonderful band.